This is the Real Estate Foundation, your show for massive action with proven results. Raise your life and your legacy with real estate.
Are you ready to take your multifamily game to the next level? Well, you need to join us October 12th, Saturday, October 12th, for our one-day multifamily foundation workshop. We're going to bring it to you live. We got a list of 15 speakers that are going to go through the process of everything it takes to get your mind right, get the deal right, learn the terms, understand the markets, learn how to find the deals, learn how to underwrite the deals, learn how to put your team together, everything from property managers to brokers to insurance companies. Beyond that, what's the proper way to raise funds for a deal and how to close a deal and what to do after you take over a deal. So it's going to be a huge event. It's going to be awesome for you to join us. Got a great space. It's going to be here in New Jersey, in Springfield, New Jersey. Of course, it's going to be a one-day event, but we got everything packed in from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Right now, if you put in the code workshop, you're going to get a special discount. And again, that code is workshop. You need to go to multifamilyfoundationworkshop.com. Again, www.multifamilyfoundationworkshop.com, and go fast because we've sold a ton of tickets for this. I actually was able to get a bigger room, but that's filling up quickly as well. So again, www.multifamilyfoundationworkshop.com, put in the code workshop. There we go. Got that down. And look forward to seeing you so we can all take massive action together. Well, hello again, and welcome to another edition of the Real Estate Investing Foundation podcast. Hope you're having a great day, and thanks so much for always checking in with us. Super excited. We're going to talk on a lot of topics today and focus on mentorship with Matthew Baltzell. Hey, Matthew, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Jason. Thanks for having me on.
Well, Matthew's basically coming here, and he is in Thailand, which is awesome. So we are about 11 hours difference, and he's on nighttime. We're just getting our day started. So we're going to talk in a lot of different formats, but we just had to put that out there because that's super impressive to be able to tackle all he's doing. He is responsible for market research, due diligence, acquisitions, and investor relations at Boardwalk Wealth, a private equity company based out of Dallas, Texas. He participates in identifying, analyzing, and advising in all phases of the acquisition process. And as we said, he's based out of Denver, but he's currently living in, I'm going to say this and butcher it, Chiang Mai, Thailand.
Yeah. you got it. You got it. You did good.
Close
you did
enough,
well.
close enough for people to have some context of where I am. So that's awesome, man. Super excited to have you on. Give me some context. Give us a little more about your background, your story, and really what's led you to this process, of course, working with Boardwalk Wealth and doing this living across the world.
Yeah. So, first off, thanks for having me on the show. I'm happy to be here. So a little bit about my background. I was involved in single family residencies back in 2008 with my mother. We had a portfolio of about 10 single family properties, which I helped manage. And, unfortunately, it was kind of like a mom and pop kind of organization. It's like, hey, go run up, grab that flyer, look at it. Oh, all right, let's put in a bid. We got a house. All right. And, we didn't really run it as well as we could have. And long story short, we had to liquidate a bunch of properties, and we kind of went belly up. And so fast forward to my story, I graduated 2007, and I wound up leaving the United States in June 2016 to go move overseas. And I attempted to move to Germany, and it didn't really work out for me. So I wound up finding myself in Thailand, and I fell in love, and I recently got married last year, and my wife and I are expecting our first kid. And so while being abroad, I was reassessing what I kind of wanted to do upon my arrival back to the United States. And I was thinking, okay, I want to get into real estate, but there's probably going to be some time before I go back to America. So I kind of put some feelers out there abroad, and people would say to me, hey, you want to buy a condo? You want to do this? And I said, no, I want to get involved in American real estate. So they're like, okay, well, you should probably move to America. And I thought, that's basically not practical at this moment. So I got on Bigger Pockets, and I started to try and think creatively of how I could get my foot into the door of commercial real estate. And at that point, I heard everybody saying, go to meetups, go to meetups, go to meetups, go to meetups. Well, that's out of the window for me because there's no meetups about American real estate in Thailand. Like that's just completely out of the window. So I created
a niche. You could create that niche right there and take it over the whole country.
That could be my niche. Like I had a lunch with a gentleman and he was like, so you want to get some condos here? I was like, no, what? No. And so I created a digital meetup and I posted it on Bigger Pockets, and it wasn't knocking down doors and taking names or anything. I mean, it was basically 6 to 8 people all throughout the United States. And it was hosted, I believe, on Zoom. It ran for about 2 to 3 months. But the thing was, I thought outside the box. And through that, a lady commented on my post, and she kind of gave me some pointers. And she said, hey, like, update me on your progress. Like, let me know what's going on. So it kind of started, my momentum started building from there. And she said, hey, follow up with me in a month. Let me know how things are going. So I followed up in a month, followed up 2 months, kept kind of just always keeping her up to date on how everything was going with me. And I think maybe the 3rd or 4th time I reached out to her, it was in regards to maybe like a syndication calculator or something along those lines. And she said, hey, well, I know this guy. His name's Omar. He's really good at underwriting. Why don't I put you in touch with him? So it just so happened to be working out. That was the time that Omar was launching his company, Boardwalk Wealth. And Omar kind of said, hey, I'm struggling with this. Would you mind, if you want, help me with this? And I was like, okay. And I did a simple task of compiling brokers in Corpus Christi, I believe. And then he's like, okay, great. Like your work. How about, can you do something? And it was like another thing. Okay. And then it was another thing. And then it was another thing. And then it was another thing. And then one thing led to another. I'm like, so am I working here? Like, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, let's put you on the website. All right, let's get the ball rolling. And then so that's my kind of whirlwind tour of how I kind of started getting into commercial real estate. And then, just recently back in February or beginning of March, I launched my podcast, Real Estate Journeys, as well. And I also wanted to do that to broaden my network of real estate investing as well and develop my network. And basically I have to kind of think outside the box and think digitally and kind of think bigger than I would if I was in my own little pond of also Denver, Colorado, or the United States. I had to think more globally and how to expand my network. So that's kind of how I started getting into commercial real estate.
So there's so much to dive in here, right? And so I'm going to start with the first part, because what really stands out is that, like,
sorry about that.
It's great, because it just the thing that stands out is that if you want a yes, you can find a yes, because you really only need the one yes, right? So you got no in the beginning, and you could have been like, oh yeah, I'm in Thailand, I guess I can't invest in the United States, but you kept asking the question. And my office, I drive them crazy with this, because they'll be like, oh no, they said no. I was like, well, keep asking, because eventually you just ask and you'll find the right answer if you know what's out there. And you knew it was out there. Plenty of people are investing, in the United States from where you are, and you just had to find what your method was. Creating a digital meetup, a great approach. You get in there and that one connection. But what you did with that is that you did the follow-up. You didn't just say, okay, great, yeah, it was great to meet you. You actually did the follow-up and kept the processes in place. And past that, when you did have the connection with Omar, you put in the work. Like, I think lots of times we put value on what we're doing before we've actually done anything to prove what we're doing. And you went out there and just did what you were doing, and it created the value where sometimes you just expect without actually having done the work. And so, yeah, kudos to you. I mean, super cool. And with that, even moving into larger multifamily, was that just from the onset where you wanted to go because of what you did with the single family houses, or?
Yeah, exactly. So, I know a lot of people say go, educate yourself. And I mean, I was educating myself nonstop, and I knew how it was for, at least for me, for single family homes. And I know a lot of people had success, from 2008 until now, fixing and flipping and wholesaling and doing all these different avenues. Right. And I thought, when I get back to the United States, like, I don't want this, like, another, grindstone, put my nose down, like, flip a house. Okay. Like, get it. And then I know how that is. And especially since we're later in the cycle, I didn't really know what I was, and I wanted to go big. And I was thinking to myself, how can I do that? How can I align myself with the right individuals to succeed and put myself in a successful situation upon my return? And that's kind of the road I went about in achieving that.
So if you're listening and you're in a smaller market, think about just everything. Just Matthew just put himself in here, because if you're thinking I'm in, I don't know, just some podunk town somewhere where there's 10 people. Well, Matthew's in Thailand, and he just thought outside the box to put this together. And so there's so many ways that you can get involved. It's just, you have to give yourself permission to do it. Moving forward now, working with Boardwalk, of course, coming on with Omar, we've had Omar on the show. Of course, it's probably been about 100 episodes again. So, but if you go to the Real Estate Investing Foundation podcast, search Omar Khan, will come up. Super awesome interview, highly detailed, highly influential with everything he has there. So I can see why you guys are a good fit there. Working on his team, what have been some of the learning lessons when working on the team capacity, and how has that helped you move your progress forward in commercial real estate?
With everything that I've learned from Omar, I don't think a lot of people realize from the outside, looking in, how much of a team effort, commercial real estate really is. You have your lawyers, your CPA, you have your capital raisers, you have your sponsors, your GPs, your LPs, your underwriters, your marketing team, your social media team. The list can go on, right? And when I think you're first starting out, you think, okay, I want to go big. I want to take on a 200 unit, and you can almost smell the green on somebody. And even if they have the best intentions, when you make a mistake and you can kind of learn from it, you learn very quick. And I remember I spoke with this broker, and he's like, so where's your capital coming from? And I was stuttered. And he was just like, and he's a very nice guy. He's very good. He was actually he's one of the top brokers in Colorado, but he spoke with me. He's very frank, and he's like, listen, you need to get these things in line and in order. And he was kind of speaking to me about, your money and your team. And I was like, okay, kind of like my tail between my legs. And I was like, okay. So, going back to your question of, realizing how much of a team effort it really is. And, one of the things we're talking about is mentorship. I don't think people realize one of the things I kind of preach on is find somebody's pain point and solve it for them. And I know a lot of sponsors, let's say you're weak at social media. Let's say you're weak at marketing. Let's say you're great at underwriting, but you're not much of a visual person. So you don't know what a good executive summary looks like. There's a lot of things that you can bring to the table. And if you can present yourself as a solution to their problem, you're that much more likely to get in the door and start formulating your team. And also I learned too is that it's about leveraging, right? Really real estate leveraging, right? So let's say you're the low guy on the totem pole, which I feel like I am a lot of the times with, these guys and our GPs. And I'm like, oh my God, what are these guys talking about, right? But I'm learning at that much quicker of a rate. And just by being on their boat, right, I'm elevated because they're helping me. And, that's what you need to do if you're trying to get into commercial real estate too, because if you're trying to go the solo route, odds are you probably won't make it. Or if you do, you're going to crash and burn, and then you're going to be a one and done. So really, I would say the teamwork aspect is what I've
learned. That's awesome, dude. And there's so many moving parts, as you said there, and it's just a great point. It really is a team prospect here. So if you want to get into these larger properties, like you said, there's just so many different roles that have to be filled. So yeah, maybe if you're going into a smaller asset at first, when we did our first acquisition, we were wearing a lot of the hats because ultimately we're learning exactly what are all the steps and all the points you want to go for. But going forward, there's people that are better at certain roles than we are. And even when you're surrounding yourself with other people, the information will come to you as you can take it in, right? So we run a large multifamily meetup here. We have 2,000 members. So we got people who've never done a deal, just walking in for the first time. People have 1,000 units. So you have to find a medium ground where you can be able to speak to both parties. And sometimes you have people that are brand new and say, the last meeting we were kind of lost on what you were talking about because of these points, but now it's starting to click because it was their time to understand that process. When you do speak to brokers, would be helpful. Could you outline some of the questions that you feel come across regularly?
Yeah. So I would say, as far as like speaking to brokers, one of the, I mean, first of all, you have to obviously know the jargon, right?
Mhm.
And I would say one of the things that they're going to ask you for is your investment criteria. Now, this will be a dead duck in the water and probably will not get your call returned or your email. But if you say, like, I want a cash flowing property in a good area, right? like,
Yeah.
like, okay, Jimmy,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Call me back next Monday. Speak to my assistant at don'tevercallmeagain.com or whatever, you know? So, I mean, I'd say know your investment criteria, right? Everybody's going to have a different investment criteria. So I would say some basics are probably know your unit count. What are you what do you feel comfortable with at Boardwalk Wealth? We're between 100 and 200 units. What is your asset class? What are you trying to do? Are you looking for B class properties? Are you doing value add? What's your play? What is your purchase price? You know, what are you looking for? Are you looking between 3 to 4 million? You know, what submarket, what markets are you looking at? So everybody's going to have a different investment criteria. So when the broker asks you, what is your investment criteria, you have to be able to like, bop, 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 and just rifle it off, as opposed to 50 to 75 units. Actually, 150 to 200 sounds, but yeah. 150 to 200 and the class. Like, he's gonna be like, this guy's making this up on the fly.
Yeah.
So really really knowing what your investment criteria is going in, and then when you speak with the broker and they get it right, they might send you back. Let's just say you say 100, 200 units, they send you a 65 unit. You know, don't automatically be dismissive of that. You know, send back your reply and let them know why this deal does not fit your criteria. Then you're taking that much more seriously. Hey, we like the 65 unit. It is in our submarket, but actually, you know, we're looking for 100 to 200 units. Okay, great. Next one, it's 100 units. Oh, great. This fits our investment criteria, but it's on the other side of the river and it's kind of like a D class. We're looking for more C class. Okay, great. You know, now you're developing a relationship. Now you're talking, right? You can't go for the jugular. They're not going to give you the holy grail off the jump. So knowing your investment criteria and really kind of start developing that relationship is going to help you as far as developing a rapport and getting better offers coming your way.
Yeah, and that's awesome, man. Thank you for that. That's super helpful, and you're spot on, right? Being specific and know what you want and just talking to talk. I mean, awesome. Now, looking at your roles today with Boardwalk Wealth, you've worked on so many different capacities as you go into the company. Where's your core focus today?
You know, honestly, right now I'm comfortable where I'm at. One of my main focuses as well is to build out the podcast as well that I'm working on. And I would say I'm thinking more upon my arrival when I come back. And what I would like when I come back is for my role to increase within Boardwalk Wealth. And the more that I see within the syndication process, you know, how I speak about, you know, adding value to other syndicators. And, you know, I feel like a lot of people think, like, especially in America, you know, like, we need to be number one. Like, I need to be a sponsor. I need to make the most money. Like, I need to conquer. And like, seeing everything now, I'm like, you know, I think I might be cool being Scottie Pippen. You know, I'm on the team.
Love it.
I get the championships. I get some rings, but I'm not the guy, right? I'm not the sponsor. But if that allows me some freedom to, you know, not carry as much weight, but allows me to come back to Thailand for, you know, a month and still work abroad. You know, I don't have to be nose to the grind, the sponsor. So I like my role now, but I think when I go back to the United States, I think I would like just kind of developing where I'm at even more, just being more boots on the ground and taking it from there. I'm not ruling out being a sponsor in the future, but you know, like I said, I think I'm cool with being a Scottie Pippen in the commercial space right now, knowing my lane and being like, hey, you know, I like to travel. I like to be able to, you know, be independent. And I feel like maybe if I were to take the sole sponsor's position on, that would be less likely to occur for me. I don't know, but that's what I'm kind of focusing on right now.
Yeah, so well said. Give us some tips about working while living abroad or traveling. What are some of the keys to success you use for people that maybe want to, pick up and move for a couple months, be transient?
Mhm. So one of the key things I think it's applicable to all aspects of life is be a man of your word or a woman of your word. So if you are traveling and let's say you get an email and it's easy to say I'm traveling, like I'll get to it when I get off the plane or whatever. But if you say, hey, I'll get back to you by Friday, get back to somebody by Friday. If you say, hey, I'm going to have the report done on Tuesday, have the report done on Tuesday. And from there, I think people realize when you stick to your word, you're that more trusted. So whether you're in Fort Lauderdale or you're in Dallas or Seattle, Hong Kong, Chiang Mai, Thailand, or Australia, Sydney, Australia, like people will be like, oh, he said he was going to get it done there. He got it done there. He said he's going to get it done here. He got it done here. Like they don't worry about you. And the last thing you want is to tarnish your reputation. And then people won't even trust you in your own market, let alone halfway around the world.
Yeah, I love that. Do what you say, and that becomes who you are. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Matthew, I really appreciate you coming on the show with us today. Thanks so much for giving us all this guidance, talking about mentorship, talking about roles that come across, talking about other points. Wow, that's a real podcast life right there. So on those formats, man, tell me what's the best way for listeners to find more about you, connect with you, learn how to find a podcast.
Yeah. So if you want to listen to the podcast, you can go to rejpodcast.com. And if you want to, my email address is matthew@matthewbaltzell.com. And also for your listeners, I have a giveaway. They can go to checklist.rejpodcast.com. And I've come up with 50 suggestions and tips that people can go about to adding value to get their foot in, find a real estate mentor for free.
Awesome. Tell us that link one more time.
Yeah. So it's checklist.rejpodcast.com.
Awesome. I'll check it out. Put that in the show notes. Well, Matthew, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been awesome.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me, Jason. I appreciate it.
Well, this is Jason with the Real Estate Investing Foundation podcast. Huge thank you to Matthew Baltzell. Have a great day. Bye now.
Cheers.